Hi, everybody. Charlie and Linda Bloom are here with you for a Bloom Talk today.
Hello.
And the topic that we're inquiring into today is how to utilize your relationship as an opportunity to learn and grow, to evolve into being more of who we can be by using our relationship and our partner as a mirror. And looking deeply into that mirror, we're going to discover a lot, maybe sometimes more than we wanted to know, because this is a deep practice of love. And of course, we all want the bliss, but it's a package planned. And if we want the bliss of love, we've got to be willing to see and experience some of the pain of love. Because growing pains, they're often not that pleasant to experience, but the benefits can be tremendous. This is not for everybody. This is not for the faint of heart.
It's only for the people who are going after the pain.
No, this is for the people who want to go after the depth, and they have the courage to face the pain so they can have the deep connection to themselves and other. This is for the deep divers.
Well, you have to go through pain in order to get the good stuff?
Yeah, there's going to be some. And it's not for everybody. You know, some people say, use your partner as a mirror. Nah, I don't want to do that. And they want to put a black cloth over the mirror, or they want to take the mirror out of the house altogether. Some people want to crash the mirror. But we're inviting you to consider, have you been using your relationship as a mirror to find out about yourself?
Well, why don't you say a little bit about what that actually means, because not everybody may know exactly what you're referring to, what that process of using your partner as a mirror actually means in real life.
So after the infatuation stage wears off, where you're so blissed out that you just think your partner is an angel, then you get disillusioned, and some of that illusion is stripped away, and you look over them, they might look demonic to you. You start seeing their flaws, and they're not such an angel and such a gift from the divine after all. And you're seeing some of the things that you hadn't noticed before while you were...
That's usually about the time that you realize
in
that
a trance.
You've made a mistake.
You know, you might wonder that. You might have doubts like that.
Time to go find the correct person where you're not going to have this disillusion.
This is the chance to go deeper into a more mature love.
That doesn't sound like fun to me.
This is got some fun parts, but it's a challenge.
So I guess kind of skip to the fun part.
Oh yeah, you can't skip over. People want to go straight up to enlightenment. You have to make the descent first before you can come up. But it's so worth it. But the kind of things that you start saying about the other person is, you start judging. Maybe they're selfish, maybe they're cold, maybe they're self-centered, maybe they're weak, whatever. But if you're using this method that we're offering for people to consider, then you say, what am I seeing over there? What am I experiencing when I look in that mirror that I'm uncomfortable with in myself? My own
So you're
judgment,
saying whatever it is that you
impatience.
see in them that you're reacting to or judging is in you?
It may be just in bud form, and it is worth looking at, because the most evolved people I've ever met, they're okay on who they are, and they don't judge other people. They don't have strong emotional reactions in a negative way to other people, because they know that they have a seed of that in themselves too. So they're not heavy on the judgment department.
Well, I understand that. I mean, obviously, we've been teaching this stuff for a while.
Yeah.
But, you know, as you're speaking, I'm thinking, gee, what would I be thinking if I didn't already agree with all this? What would my concerns be about what you're describing as using your partner as a mirror and the inevitability that
Mhm.
you're going to see things in that person that you don't like,
Yeah.
and that those are always things in you that you have judgments about.
Just to open to the possibility that there may be an aspect of that in yourself. That when you embrace it, when you get friendlier with it, when you're not busy trying to deny it or keep it in the shadows, in the dark, hidden in shame, then the chances are, if you can become more okay on it yourself, you're less likely to judge it in another, like your partner or other people. It sounds like a lot of work. It is a lot of work.
Well, let's use some examples from our relationship. I know it may be difficult for you to come up with things that you've seen in me that you didn't think were wonderful. But I mean, try, use your imagination and imagine that there were things that at some point you thought, ooh, that's not exactly the way I would like him to be.
The first thing,
and then how that is in you.
The first thing that comes to mind is that one of the things that I was so attracted to you about is your boyishness when we first met, that the youthful vitality of the boy.
I was a lot younger.
Playful, was so alive. And then after the infection wore off, I thought, maybe this guy's kind of irresponsible. He's not too organized. He doesn't seem to hold a high standard.
Doesn't have a job. Doesn't have any money.
Man, he just
doesn't have a car.
He just wants to play. And then I have to really think this one through. And I had a fair amount of judgment about that.
Yeah.
And when I started doing shadow work, I saw, man, I've been so busy being so sober and responsible and grounded and organized and committed that I was really not owning my playful side. And so when I could see in the mirror that was you, because you were really all about, owning your playfulness, then I could say, I got a pretty big emotional charge on this. Must be something about me in there. And sure enough,
Well, you didn't exactly go there right away.
No, it was a process.
It took you 2 or 3 decades to get there.
No, let's don't exaggerate.
It took a long time.
I'm still working on it, but
that's what I'm saying.
I did make a good effort to own the part of myself that would be more playful and be lighter and let go of responsibility.
It's helpful for us to let these guys know.
It's a process. It's a process.
Don't think that just because you see something in the other person that you're automatically going to take responsibility for that being in you, and your feelings towards them are going to become much more accepting. It is a process.
It is a process. You want to tell them one about me?
I can't think of anything right now, but I'll let you know.
Because I'm so fabulous. That's why I'm just so fabulous.
Well, actually, now that you mention it, there were a couple of things. Well, what would the opposite be of somebody who appeared to be, you say boyish, that's a nice word. Childish is the way some people would have characterized me in those times. But what would the opposite of that be?
Well, I would say highly responsible, very organized,
maybe
even a bit grim about it.
Compulsive.
Okay.
How about obsessive?
Yeah.
How about, so focused on responsibility that you weren't naturally as a lot of fun to be around. So I brought that to you. I helped you to lighten up a little bit, and for that,
for which I'm very grateful.
You have expressed gratitude to me about that many, many times over the years, and I appreciate that.
And I hope that you have some gratitude for me helping you to be a little bit more organized in your life.
Oh, absolutely. I never would have gone back to college. I never would have gone to graduate school.
And made the dean's list?
Never would have, gotten my papers done if you hadn't typed them for me.
Got a master's degree? Had a successful career?
No doubt about it. So is that what you mean by like the mirror?
Yes.
But I still don't see that I am like you in
No,
that regard.
No.
I don't think I ever
You'll
will
never
be.
be in my league. And
Yeah.
I'm never going to have that playful fun,
Well,
go straight for the fun.
you've
I
developed
moved a
some of that.
lot. I moved a
But,
lot.
I'll never be in your league, and not that I want to necessarily, but I definitely want that in my life. So I
But
get
we've
that
learned
kind
a
of
lot from each
vicariously
other.
from you.
We've
Yeah.
learned a lot from each other
Yeah.
by taking on, seeing what's
Right.
in the mirror there
And before,
about myself that I'm
That's
rejecting
right.
in myself, that I could own it in myself.
So before I was able to get to that point of really being appreciative of how much, on some level, I knew that I was getting a lot from you that I needed, but not so much consciously.
Yeah.
So I was still in judgment and reaction. Why doesn't she lighten up? She's too heavy. But then I did get to that point where I began to realize, wow, man, this is a good thing. This is really a good thing that Linda's bringing to me, even though it, kind of frustrates me sometimes and upsets me sometimes. But overall, this is a good thing. And I did get to that point.
And I got to the point where I could see that life is to be enjoyed, and play isn't just for kids, and
Yeah.
having some fun and having more balance in my life, that it's not just work, 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 has really served me.
Or to see that work doesn't have to be work, 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 but work can have play in it too.
Yeah.
Like right now, we're
I'm
working
playing with you.
but we're playing too.
Yeah.
So work really is an attitude more than it is a particular behavior, because it's the attitude that you bring
Yeah.
to what you're doing.
We're big believers, and maybe
Yeah.
some of the people listening here, they'll have a little bit more curiosity and wonder about how to use their own relationships, not just your romantic partnership, although that's the hot fire. If you can do it there, you can do it anywhere. But when you have a close friend or a sibling or a family member, or sometimes it's your own kids, that you find you're in judgment about, you have a strong emotional charge, you might want to take a look and see if there's some part of yourself that you're objecting to, that you're rejecting, that you're not taking full ownership of. And this goes not just for the dark, not just for, the weak or the bully or the controller or the manipulator, those dark aspects. They also go for the golden aspects, the best that we are attracted to in other people. And we may project our wonderfulness onto them. Oh, they're so warm, and they're so entertaining, and they're so vivacious, and they're so energetic, or they're such a high integrity person, or they're so spiritually evolved. And we may be magnetized to that person and dazzled by the golden glow that we see around them. But if you spot it, you got it. If you spot the darkness in other people, there's an aspect of that in you. If you see the spark of golden light in the other person, there's an aspect of that in you. And I'll give an example from our relationship. For the longest time, I had my creative artist projected onto you. You play guitar and you sing beautifully and you write. You've always written beautiful letters, even before we authored books. I thought, oh, what a wonderful thing that he, is so creative. And I didn't own my own creative artist, but I was so drawn to that in you. And it took me a while to see that I was spotting it in you and admiring it in you. And I had it at least in bud form. And then that allowed me to bring that out in myself, for which I will always be grateful, that I had enough sense to take my projection back and learn that from you.
Well, what I'm seeing as you're saying this, and I hadn't made this link before, is that envy is the key to the door that opens up your potential.
Right.
That when you notice what it is or who it is that you envy, that you really think, wow, that person's really got something. I wish I had that. Then that may be a little bit uncomfortable to feel that envy, but it's important information that your psyche is telling you about where it is that you really desire to go, to be, to have, to develop in your life. And that thing about if you spot it, you got it, that means, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are a great writer, but what it means is that you have the capacity, the potential to become that which you envy. That you can do that, and that's information for you to take seriously.
That's right.
Because if you just write it off and say, well, I'll never be able to do that, I'm not that person. It's true in some way. You'll never be able to do it exactly the way that person does, because we're all different. But it also means that you've got the potential to be able to experience a high level of success or fulfillment in that particular area, in that arena.
See, that decision makes every bit of difference.
Yeah.
Because if you decide, too bad I don't have much of a singing voice, too bad I'm not creative, I couldn't play an instrument, I couldn't paint, I couldn't sculpt, that will become a self-fulfilling prophecy because of your belief.
That's right.
And then you're not connected to that part of yourself. You don't have an intimate relationship with that part of yourself. And to the degree that we're disconnected from having an intimate relationship with that part of ourself, it puts the kibosh on having the maximum amount of intimacy with other. And to the degree that we created an intimate relationship with each other, my trust for you went up so high that when you said to me, I see the creative part of you all the time. I see it in the way you cook. It could be in other aspects of your life too.
Garden, the way you take care of the kids.
Yeah, you can write.
The way you decorate the house. I mean, all kinds of different ways.
I couldn't see it because I had these blinders on.
Yeah.
But you helped me to connect to what I consider be really important, joy-filled part of myself, the creative artist, and the high integrity person. Do you know, there's lot of aspects that you've helped bring out of me, and I feel like I have a more meaningful connection with those parts of myself, so there's more to bring to my relationship with you.
Which is the reason why we all tend to be attracted to and attract people into our lives who do embody qualities and tendencies and ways of being that are different from ours. Because on some level, and it's usually pretty unconscious or subconscious, we sense that this person has something to offer me beyond the stuff that I'm generally focused on, like what we call the checklist.
Yeah.
Beyond their sharing mutual interests with us, or the amount of education they've got, or what their religion is, or how much money they've got, whatever, that all those things are factors, but ultimately what creates the feeling of chemistry, I think, is this sense that there's something there that I want more of. There's something that is feeding what I refer to as my soul, that makes me feel more whole, which is Capone.
So I know that sometimes you have uneasy feeling about me quoting that spiritual teacher that says that the relationship, the deep, loving relationship, is the fast track to enlightenment. But I want to stand behind that quote. I want to say that I've met a lot of very highly evolved people who I really respect. And they talk about sitting in silent meditation, years, decades worth of it, and how that advanced their spiritual development. But they also said that the relationships, the deep relationships, also were a really fast track to move them towards who they could be, the best that they could be. And so I feel like using our closest relationships as a mirror to know ourselves really helps us to evolve, to grow into the potential of who we could be when we're at our best.
Well, if that's your definition of enlightenment, if that's what you mean by the fast
That's
track to
what I mean.
enlightenment, then I'm
That's
totally,
what I mean.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're always teaching about relationship as a spiritual practice and to do it on a regular basis. So we invite you to watch for where your emotional charge is. If you have a strong emotional charge of negativity and you hear those judgmental thoughts in your mind, see if you can take the black cloth off of the mirror and take a good look. And if you have a strong attraction, deep admiration, reverence, and respect for somebody and their magnificence, take the black cloth off of the mirror and take a look and see what that may be informing you about you. Because I think there's plenty of information if we start using this technique of seeing the important people in our life as mirrors for us.
Well, okay, question.
Yeah.
So let's say that somebody is really committed to doing this and they really want to take advantage of this opportunity for self-discovery and self-understanding,
Mm-hmm.
self-acceptance. And they see the value of that in their relationship and in their own life. But for whatever reason, they're having trouble disengaging from their negative judgments about the other person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, let's say that those, their judgments are
there
based
might be
on
some
things
truth in it.
that they've really had some trouble with in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
What do you suggest that people do who understand this intellectually, but for whatever reason, they're just not able or ready at this point to...
You may not be
to do
able to
that.
let go of the judgments altogether.
Hmm.
In fact, it's likely if you loosen up the tight white knuckle grip that you have on them and you believe everything you think, that's at least progress, not to believe everything you think and not to hold it as the truth, and to have a little breathing space in there to think, maybe there's something that I'm supposed to be learning here.
Okay.
Maybe
So don't
there's
expect
something
to be
about
able
me.
to go all the way over to
No,
total
it's a process.
appreciation and acceptance.
It's a process.
Maybe just some small steps
Yeah.
in that direction. Like maybe they're not the worst person in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're only one of the worst people in the world. Just okay. No, that's good. That's good because I'm trying to put myself in the position of somebody who's hearing this for the first time, and what would I be concerned about? What would I be challenged with? Because I don't want people to get the idea that we expect them, just because they have this understanding now, all of a sudden they're going to be able to become totally non-judgmental and completely unconditionally accepting.
Right. When you were first posing the question to me, what I thought you were going to ask is, what if you see the benefit of this and you're on fire and you're really, ambitious to play this way, but the person who you're closest to is lackluster about it and they don't want to play. You can still play. It would be ideal if both of you were enthusiastic about it together, but that isn't always the case. And we always invite people to just keep their attention on themselves and do their own work.
Mm.
It's a good rule of thumb. Not so easy to do.
Can't that lead to selfishness, or can't that be selfish to just keep your attention on yourself? I mean, like, I know people who live that way, and I don't consider them particularly attuned to other people's feelings and needs.
No, there's a big difference between being self-absorbed and self-centered and being responsible about doing your own work. Then part of doing your own work is being generous of spirit and being tuned into other people and their needs and not being self-absorbed.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're really doing our own work, we're not just, looking at ourselves all the time, we're paying some attention to ourselves and our own growth path and what it is, the qualities that we need to be developing in ourselves and the practices that would bring those qualities alive. And we're paying attention to the other important responsibilities and connections that we have in our life. I mean, if we're really on it and we're really doing our own work, then you don't go so severely over to the end of the spectrum where you're selfish and self-absorbed. And this has so many benefits and payoffs in terms of our own peace of mind and our own feelings of well-being that the person who was kind of lackluster before may notice positive changes, that we're laughing more, that we're singing more, that we're traveling lighter, that we're less grumpy, that we're more available. And maybe their initial resistance would shift and they'd want to know more how this game is played and want to participate in it.
Sign
I've
me
seen
up.
that happen.
Sounds good to me.
So
Oh,
don't
good.
take our word for it. Look to your own experience and see if utilizing the close relationships in your life have been enlivening for you, informative for you, whether you've learned something about yourself by seeing your close relationships as a mirror, whether you've become more peaceful and accepting and loving and trusting of yourself as the process. And if you find that it's working for you, well, have more of it.
And if they find that they haven't experienced all those things, then they should go out and get a new partner, right?
They should
No.
step out on faith and see
I was
if
just being
maybe,
facetious.
I know, if you do the work and notice the benefits coming in, because there's a lot to be gained. We're a big believer in shadow work. We actually think it's the deepest work that we do and that we offer. And to take the parts of ourselves that have been stashed in the dark and the shadows and bring them to integrate into our wholeness of our being. And then there's two whole people relating to each other, and instead of two slivers of who we could be that maybe just could make up a whole.
A half hole.
Don't be a half hole.
Well, as a matter of fact, our viewers are very fortunate because we just happen to be teaching a course in 2 different places over the next couple of months in which we're going to go into everything that we've been talking about here experientially in 2 weekend workshops. And one of them is going to be the weekend of March 22nd, where we're teaching at Esalen Institute in Big Sur, California. And if you've never been there,
It's gorgeous.
this is one place that should be on your list of places to go before you die. And if you haven't died yet and you haven't been there, then this would be a good opportunity to go there. And it's a beautiful place, and you get to spend the whole weekend with some other people who, like you, if you're watching this, are committed to having great relationships in their lives. In fact, that's the name of the course. It's Secrets of Great Relationships. And the other place that we're teaching is also in this area, which is in Santa Cruz County, just a few minutes from where we are speaking at this moment. And it's called 1440 Multiversity. And it's a new personal growth center, which is absolutely magnificently beautiful. We have taught there. They just opened up last year, and we've taught there a couple of times. And we're going to be going back again on the weekend of April the 26th and teaching the same workshop. So put that on your list if you're really serious about wanting to pursue this path.
We pack a lot of value in a
Could
weekend.
be life-changing.
We have a very joyful announcement to make. Our book, 101 Things I Wish I Knew When I Got Married, Simple Lessons to Make Love Last, is now an audio book. and it's hot off the press. It's available for purchase at Amazon. And tell your friends to follow us on Facebook. And if you haven't gotten our free ebooks, please come to our website, www.bloomwork.com. That's singular, BLOOMWORK.com. And you get our free ebooks for giving us your email address, one on conflict, one on sexuality, and one is 10 of the most important things we wish we knew when we got married. Would have saved us some trouble. So we'll see you next week. And we want you to know what the topic is next week. We're going to be speaking about the maintenance model of relationship versus the transformation model of relationship. And they're very different. We want you to go for the gold and have the transformation model of relationship. So all the best.
Bye.